Thank you for joining me today. I am here to talk about ParkBathe. My name's Vanessa. So I founded this project in 2021, and I'm just going to explain how that happened. So it's quite nice to know the history of a project, I think, and this is rooted in science. It was a citizen science project which operated in Crystal Palace Park, and it was a collaboration between myself and a health researcher at Derby University. And we wanted to ask a question, which of course is the foundation of most studies. Could we take this lovely and very successful health prescription, which is forest bathing, otherwise known in Japan as Shinrin-yoku, and put this into Britain and use this in the same way as the Japanese did as a preventative health model? And if we did that, what would it look like? And so just to explain, Shinrin-yoku is a health prescription. It originated in the 80s in Japan as a direct response to techno stress. That's what the government called it. Basically, everybody working on screens. The workforce became very stressed very quickly. And because of the Shinto culture and the Japanese very intuitive relationship to trees and forests, the government basically encouraged people to go and spend considerable blocks of time out in the forest. And this was very successful. And they saw immediate health benefits. And so they did that rather unusual thing that they then researched all what those health benefits were after they'd rolled it out. Now, 5 million people a year use forest bathing. In Japan, you are prescribed it by your doctor. It's an option alongside a medicalized route. So you're prescribed nature. And so we looked at this model, which the traditional Shinrin-yoku model is a 3-hour gentle wander, self-guided around an ancient woodland, probably for about 3 hours. Well, that doesn't work. We don't have ancient woodlands. People don't have that kind of time. We don't have that kind of intuitive relationship. Some people do, but a lot of people don't in Britain. So we were looking at a secular, condensed 1-hour model that would work not in ancient woodlands, but in urban parks, because we have lots of parks. So that was our idea. And I think we can say 5 years on and supporting 700 people a year, it most certainly worked. And I will take you through some of the results that we found from our study. So we made it 1 hour. And the most important thing for a green social prescribing offer, it's a model. It's not just some random walk. I mean, people say to us, it's not just a walk in the park. It's not, and I will come to why it's not in a while. But it is exactly the same model in every single park. We take from the 5-4-3-2-1 sensory grounding model, which is used widely across primary care. We know this is very successful, using the senses to get into the body to maybe move a patient away from rumination, panic perhaps, anxiety, overwhelm. And what we do is basically take those principles, those sensory principles, and put it into a nature environment and extend it. So this project is led by peers. It's led by service users, which is possibly one of the most powerful parts of it. And that means that when people turn up, if they're feeling anxious or this might be the first time they've actually ventured outside, they are being met by somebody who knows exactly what they're feeling. There's no hierarchy in this project. And that, as I say, is quite a powerful part of it. So I'll just move on. So also, I think the other thing to really emphasize is that this is a very non-clinical offer. It's a very gentle way to get people out into nature. So what is a ParkBathe? It's, as I say, it's led by members of the community. It's very slow. And it's mostly silent. Those are two key things that come back from our link workers as being very viable as a social prescribing offer. Slow means anybody who is low mobility, who might be on a recovery journey, who struggles to walk, will be absolutely fine on this session. We only cover a very, very short distance. That's a matter of, maybe 300 or 400 meters maximum. So we're not talking like a ramble or a hike or even a walk and talk. We're talking about a very different thing. The silent part is really important. For people that are socially isolated, perhaps have not ventured out, working with a link worker, this is a great offer because you don't need to say anything. So there's no social pressure to talk. You can, and we do have this, you can turn up and just point to your name on a list. That's it. We regularly get plenty of people coming on these sessions who don't speak at all. The intention is not about chatting and telling your story. It's about being in your body and getting to a physiological state where you feel deeply relaxed. And what happens when you feel deeply relaxed in that state is that inevitably you feel very connected to your green space, but also to yourself and often to the people around you. And that happens without talking. Our research studies saw a 27% increase in social connection, which is quite extraordinary, really, when people don't really talk on these walks. Obviously, there's a little bit of chit chat at the end. Some people really like that. It tends to be talking about what leaf you found or what berry. So it tends to be really lovely conversations. So what we do in these sessions, we go through all the senses in sequence. And as I say, all of our community members are given full training and they're given instruction cards when they're trained up, and they literally read from a script. So it's exactly the same thing. So someone prescribing in knows, and that person knows, that if they come to a walk in Crystal Palace Park, if they then go to another walk in Betts Park, it's the same thing. So that familiarity tends to build a lot of trust. So these sessions are small. They're up to around 10 people. Sometimes they're smaller. Sometimes we creep over and we're like 12. And we use this idea of mindful awareness. So we're really connecting with the senses. We start off with the body sense, getting into our bodies. We do a very simple breathing exercise. Actually, that can be, even that, just feeling your feet on the ground can be really powerful. Some people don't get past that, actually. And then we do this mindful awareness going through sight and visual exercises. And then we go through hearing and smell, and then touch is right at the end. And the reason it's at the end is because we do get people who are biophobic, who are frightened about being in nature. And so the idea of touching nature is not something that is available to them. We introduce that right at the very end, and we'll find they've probably relaxed to a point where they will consider that. So these are sensory tasks. Now, these are not instructions. Everything on these sessions is couched. The script is all around invitations. The language we use has been designed. That was one of the things we looked at on the study, so that it was exceedingly open and welcome and accessible to everybody. So you're not told to do anything. You are invited. And these are, so we want to reduce cognitive load. We want people to be relaxing. If they've got lots of rumination going on, we want that to calm. So we don't want to add to information in their brains. So the invitations are so simple. They are notice color. And what we've learned, and we learned this in the study, we cut the script right down because people don't need anything more than that. You say notice movement, they will see the waves of the trees or the leaves moving, and that's incredibly relaxing. And people feel quite joyful, or they can feel really surprised that they've noticed this and how lovely it feels to notice it. As I say, we do a relaxation at the beginning, and the slow walking naturally tends to pull people into that parasympathetic, rest and digest system. So we see lots of yawning. We see lots of slow smiles. We see physicality change enormously on these sessions. We always have, so in terms of our structure, we have a walk leader at the front. They're a trained community member. They lead the walk. And then we have an ambassador who goes at the back of the walk. And they're just a volunteer, probably somebody very enthusiastic who've been on a couple of walks. And to be honest, most people who are ambassadors use that as an excuse to get out, to go each month, because they get a real hit out of watching what happens to these people on these sessions. People often turn up brittle, anxious, perhaps a bit distant, not feeling great, to be quite honest, because that's who we're trying to encourage to come on these sessions, people who aren't in a great place. By the end, these people are open, their body language has changed, they're smiling, they feel super relaxed, they tend to feel very grateful. And to be honest, as one of my ambassadors who's been in this project for 3 years said, she's, why would I not want to be part of this? It makes me feel great that they're feeling great, and that it's consistent. It happens every time. So at the moment, the project, what happened after the study, I have actually got a page of some data which I'll come to. But what happened after the study is the study ended and the community kind of went, please don't take this away. This was post-COVID. Everyone was looking for a way to get into nature. And so we launched this in the community, and we're now in 11 parks in Southeast London, across Croydon, Bromley, Lambeth and Southwark. And don't ask me to list all the parks because I've now got to the stage where I can't remember all of them. We're in that many places, all led by community teams. We also have partnerships. We work with the Dulwich Picture Gallery doing an outreach programme. We work with Thriving Norwood. We work with PCNs and link workers, health organisations. We are referred into by multiple different organisations now. And we are supporting around 700 people a year with expansion plans. So we're coming to Harrow. Yay! I'm hoping that that's a really cool and exciting thing. We plan to launch 2 hubs. That's what we call a walk, in West Harrow Park and in Kenton Recreation Ground. And kind of the sort of reality check of that is if you've got 10 people coming, those walks happen on the same, let's say, Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning every month. So they become consistent and regular. And as I say, we would take 10 people at a time. So you're looking at supporting around 240 people straight away in the Harrow area. Perhaps if this goes really well, we're launching other parks. That's the big plan, so that you have this spider's web of resource. So with 2 parks, you'll have a fortnightly service to refer into. With 4 parks, you're going to have a weekly service to refer into, which just means you will get more people, but what you'll get is those 240 people coming more often. We get unique users, but we get a lot of repeat attendance, which for us is really brilliant. Sorry, I will send this because it's like a lot of numbers, but there's some really exciting numbers on here. So just to take you through these, our research study, which was multiple walks. This is very important because a lot of forest bathing walks are singular events. This wasn't. This was repeated and it was cumulative. So we did 180 sample size with all mixed backgrounds, and then we did that over a 3-month period. So this was multiple walks. So we overall saw a 40% reduction in anxiety at the end of a walk. And that's using the POMS score before and after. We saw a 50% reduction in rumination. This is our really big consistent score that we see all the time. People come and they call it mind chatter, sticky thoughts, overwhelm, overthinking, intrusive thoughts. People have lots of different ways of describing this. That drops significantly. And that for some people is a major part of why they come back. We have people who come back 40 to 50 times a year, and they use language like, I dose up. This is what keeps me on track. This is what helps me cope. We did see a high increase in nature connection. We're in an urban park, but people suddenly notice what their park has. They notice details. They notice a flower. They notice a leaf has got this like weird splodging, or they notice a caterpillar has eaten a little hole. And there's a sort of a childlike quality that comes over many of our participants. They become absolutely joyful and amazed that a caterpillar ate this leaf. And so that sense of connection is very strong. And just on a sort of the hard measures, we did record heart rate and heart rate variability. And we saw, actually it was over than that, it was a 12.65% increase in heart rate variability, again, overall in that sample. The stats I put here, we have a women's only walk. That's very, very successful. It is oversubscribed and on a wait list every single time. It's on a wait list all the way through the summer. That has a high diverse population. We are referred into by quite a lot of black-led women's groups in the Croydon area. So we have around 40% are ethnically diverse. So overall, in our data, which we collect after every walk, 93% feel more relaxed afterwards. And this is kind of important. People learn new ways to go into nature. We hear this a lot. Because if you found something that works, our mantra is do it again and do it all the time and do it so it becomes a coping mechanism. And we absolutely see that happening. People notice more details. I had an email from a lady who came on Sunday. She said, oh my goodness, this morning on my way to work, I spotted a little robin on a tree. I would never have seen that before. Another lady who came on Monday told me from the last session, she sat near a river watching the little ripples in the water. She goes, I would never have done that. So people get this nature switch. They get a new way of learning how to be around nature, but also just in their life. and 71% of people go to more green spaces. People share what they've learned. People love, and we encourage this, share it with friends and family. So yeah, so we've been supporting lots of different groups in terms of those outcomes. It's deep relaxation, it's reducing rumination, great for older communities, socially isolated people, people on recovery journeys, anybody who is anxious, anybody who's a bit nervous about going out, anybody on a grief or bereavement journey. We've found self-referrals for this. Very interesting. And this is more work. We're going to be doing a project on this. People refer into us when the acute period has gone, because grief doesn't have a line. It comes back and it folds back on itself. And so we were finding people were referring into us around the 6-month year mark, just because they needed to process their grief, but maybe not talk about it. So that's a really interesting thing that we're looking at. So yes, I think I've talked about this. We do encourage if people can come for 8 sessions, but sometimes people come for 3 sessions and they've got enough. They've learned the techniques, and the idea is then they go off and do it. It's at free entry for anybody. And this is really important, which is why we're constantly applying for grants to keep it free. People can book via our link tree. That takes them to a booking link on Eventbrite, but many people are digitally excluded and find that difficult. So I will also book people on. And we very much look after people on a walk, because Eventbrite is very anonymous. So we actually email every single attendee personally and say, this is where you need to meet. This is the map. This is what to wear. This is what's going to happen. So we do that predictability thing so they know what's coming. We find this increases our attendance significantly. We've kept at an 80% attendance rate for 18 months. And that's because of this. Do you know what? Life is so digital and anonymous. We are real people. So there's this in real life element that I think is very important. And lots of people protect this community project. If they aren't able to come, they email us, they communicate. People just don't tend to not show up. It's quite rare. We always say you can come as many times as you like, and lots of people do. I think, yes, there we go. 40% come more than 3 times. Which I think is very interesting. And as I say, we've got more than a few. We've got 6 or 7 people at the moment that come about 50 times a year. You can bring a companion. We're really interested what link workers said to us, which is if you're socially isolated, getting out your door may be a barrier. And so we're really interested in befriending carers for carer services, people who can be the glue, community connectors who might be able to take people to these sessions and also get the benefits for themselves. So that's something we're really looking at. We're very interested to have maybe intermediary partners to help bring people, the most vulnerable people who perhaps would benefit from this. Those are just some benefits of forest bathing. I won't talk through all of those. They will be on a little PDF, which I will share with you so you can have a look. There's lots of research. And forest bathing research is really interesting. They've done some kind of quite wacky stuff, but it's really, it shows that it can not just reduce anxiety and rumination, but it helps with immune health in a preventative way. It also helps with a range of disorders, things like respiratory and heart conditions, which is really good for link workers to know. And yes, green social prescribing, this thing that's so amazing that so many people don't know about. And of course, this is just the idea of prescribing nature and green activities to people. So the government has done a huge cross-university study which shows green social prescribing works. They had many test sites across the country over and over and over, and that was reaching hard to reach groups. It really does work. So there's a lot of evidence to support a green social prescribing offer. I will leave you with that. And if anybody's got questions, fire them at me. I'm hoping I've answered most things.
Thank you.